Yeah, you bet. Back. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Oh, okay. I started. This is a new computer, so hopefully this will work.
That's awesome, man. Hey, nice backdrop. Is that a real backdrop? Is that fake?
Yeah, no, it's real.
All
It's
right.
yeah, it's a work in progress, but I enjoy it.
You have a couple books you like to read?
A couple. Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say I don't read nearly as much as I used to. I used to just be a complete avid reader, and just voraciously read everything I could get my hands on. And now I don't like to say the word TikTok, but by golly, you can learn a lot out of TikTok and YouTube.
Oh, so we always like to give nuggets to the audience, Mr. Travis. Is it Rossback or Rossbatch?
Yeah, Rosback. Yep, like you
Yes.
said, with a K. Yeah.
Yeah, so Travis Rossback, we always love to give nuggets to the audience. So what you're saying here is that to hell with books. The thumbnail for this episode is fuck the books, get the TikTok.
Travis said it. Yep.
Travis said fuck the books, go watch YouTube. We don't need to read. We just need YouTube and TikTok. We're done. That's all we need.
Yeah.
That's it.
And Chat GPT
All
also.
right,
That would be
there you
the
go.
other. That
There
would
you go.
be the trifecta of what we need nowadays.
Oh, the trifecta. Oh, I haven't had that word on the show, Travis. The trifecta.
Is that it? Yeah.
I got to tell you something else, man. I'm digging the Joe Thornton going on right now.
The what is it?
The Joe Thornton, the nice beard you got going on there. Joe Thornton is from San Jose Sharks, hockey player. No, you don't.
I don't play hockey. I don't
Okay,
know
that's okay.
hockey.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right. I'll
He's
just.
a hockey player.
I love the beard, man.
Oh, thank you.
That
Thank
is
you.
fucking well earned facial real estate there.
With great beer comes great responsibility. And
Absolutely, it does. Yeah,
God, I feel it. I know it. I recognize it. Yeah.
you do. I'm sure you do. Yeah, I can. And you're not stopping, are you?
Oh
No.
no, I let my barber.
Yeah.
He keeps it because if it goes much further out,
Yes.
there's a very real sense of homeless lookingness, which I love. I really do. But society does not play well when I'm standing in line at Costco with the homeless guy in front of them. And sometimes people want to like give me something
Yeah.
or like, oh, you poor thing.
Yeah.
Hey, would you like to pay for it? Yeah, so I try to keep it a little bit tighter, but I'm anti-establishment,
Yeah.
anti-authoritarian, a little bit, not even a little bit. I'm very much anti-corporate,
Yeah.
and so this is it keeps my neck warm. It's 9 degrees this morning here in Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a wind block, and it keeps me warm.
I love it. So, Travis, so I suspected the anti-corporate. I suspected the anti-authority about you, and I might not be too dissimilar to you in that regard. So I saw him like, I gotta talk to this guy. But to the listeners right now who aren't watching us, I gotta describe them. Listeners, Travis Rossback. If you're on your phone right now, just pop the video up or go look up Joe Thornton. And I know Travis is going to. And you go look at Joe Thornton, you're going to see the ultimate beard that I know Travis is aspiring to grow to at some point. Trav, do you have a wife or family or kids or?
No, I'm single,
Okay.
and I would go so far as to say happily single.
Yeah.
I do have a daughter,
Okay.
and I have a daughter. I have 4 dogs and 2 cats, and my hands are full. My life is full, and I'm as happy as can be.
Awesome. So I ask about the partner, wife, or children because I know that in the past, when old dad here has grown out his facial, I get the old grief from the surrounding parties. So I'm just curious. Yeah. I'm curious. His daughter say, "Dad, you got to get rid of the hair."
No, in fact, I shaved it off about 3 years ago, and she cried, and she didn't know who I was, and it was pretty gnarly. And so I was like, "Hey, instead of dramatically and doing anything to the kid, I'll just keep it." And so it's easier this way.
You talk about homelessness. I sold my company a number of years back, and I had aspired sitting at this desk actually. So I wrote myself a check for $1 million, and I went on down to the bank, dressed like the most homeless fucking hobo you can actually see. I'm like, because I'm a blue collar, not gold plates. I work hard for my money, my mom and dad, blue collar. So having the money it's just a tool. I worked hard for it, but I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to go to the bank in like my Gucci and my Louis Vuitton. I'm just going to go like I normally dress. So I just throw my fucking old sweats and t-shirt and rowdy t-shirt hat and get on in my old 2000 old Jeep, drive on down to the bank, walk up to the teller in a check written from myself to myself. Consider that, because I'm going from my corporate account to my personal account, and I'm looking like Joe Schmuckalowski, Travis. And I'm like, yeah, to Keith Bilous for $1 million from Keith Bilous. The teller looks at me, looks me up and down. They're like, yeah. I'm like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh fuck yeah. Call the manager over. I'm checking all out. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's all good. And I'm like, oh, I love how we all judge people by the book of the cover, right?
She pushed the button under the counter. That's the part you don't realize, is that there was a squad car in the parking lot waiting for you to come out. That they actually gave the when it did clear.
That's it, Trav. That is it. That is it. So we've been chewing for 7 minutes, and I've done the worst job introducing my guest, Travis Rossback, to the audience because I'm having a fucking good time already. I'm like, I gotta get in with this guy. It all started Business Athlete Nation because the guy couldn't figure his computer out. But then I met him. I'm like, oh, I can see why he didn't figure the computer out. I'm joking, Trav. I like joking.
Oh, it's very true. If I had an in-house IT person, my life would be 150,000 times, and I've done the math, 150,000 times easier if I could just say, turn the damn thing on and make me appear on the screen.
Man.
God, my life would be so much easier.
So we started with the books behind you. We started with pivoting from the books are worth nothing because we just got to go spend time on TikTok and YouTube. But let's go back to the books for a second. What do you like to read when you do read? What's the interest in Travis Rossback's head?
I didn't have to go to recovery, but I did have a very strong addiction to buying Amazon books for quite a few years.
Yeah.
And what I really love is I just love to go through a book, no matter what the topic is. And I always start out the same. I always start out with the for Dummies or the Idiot's Guides, because that's where I can learn the basic core vocabulary of anything I'm doing. So if I'm gonna like when I became an airline pilot, I went to the Idiot's Guide for Flying and Gliding. I learned the vocabulary. I walked in and I said, airplane words. And they said, oh, airplane guy, come on in, friend. And then I became that. And so I love starting at the very basics, the core fundamental vocabulary of whatever it is I'm doing. And from there, it moves up a little bit. For me, I'm not the brightest of people around. And so I take that into great consideration. I don't jump up 15, 20 levels. I jump up 2 or 3 levels. I go from the vocabulary to some history. I go from the history to the modern day, and then I go to the future. And then there I am in the future doing what it is that I learned from the Idiot's Guides. And to tell you the truth, I only read about 25% of any book I'm reading. I get the gist of it, and I put it back on the shelf, and there it lives.
Then you're done. So, audience, Business Athlete Nation, I gotta tell you, Nation, what drew me to Travis. So bear with me. Scuba dive master instructor, U.S. merchant marine boat captain, commercial airline pilot, Oregon contractor's license, Hawaiian realtor's license, yoga instructor, Recce master, member of the Explorers Club, fellow at the Royal Geographical Society, and a guy with a hell of an awesome, handsome beard. Travis Rossback, like, you've done a couple things. Oh, you're author, speaker, consultant. Yeah, so you've been the founder of Hydro Flask, which we're here going to talk about today as well. Like, fuck, Trav, you've been pretty lazy, sitting around not doing very much, I see.
For the last 5 years I have, but prior to that, the last 5 years, I can't say that. I've been doing lumberjacking. I have a bunch of property, and I'm learning that I actually am not learning. I know this. I love to go outdoors and damn near kill myself by dropping these massive trees that if I drop this tree, then that tree grows bigger and better. And busy. Yeah.
Lumberjacking. So that, Trav, that's not on the LinkedIn profile. You've missed that part of it.
I probably need to update that.
Yeah,
Homestead lumberjacking.
That's
Maybe
it.
another reason why I'm single, but that's a whole other story. Yeah.
You joined us from Greater Bend. You said from Oregon, though, right? Where was it?
Bend, Oregon. Yeah, over on the east side of the Cascades. So it's not the Valley, it's not Portland, it's not Salem, not any of that craziness over there.
Yeah, yeah.
Bend, Oregon. It's basically Northern California.
Okay.
Is the
Yes.
way I look at it. Yeah.
Okay. Does Bend, Oregon relate more to Northern California than Oregon itself, like politically, culturally, or is it very much an Oregonian part of the state?
I don't want to get into politics, but I
Oh, why
consider
not?
Oregon a red state with pockets of blue.
Yes.
And this is a massive blue pocket that has been growing larger and larger in its blueness because of the aforementioned southern neighbors that have decided that they'd rather live here than there. So,
Interesting.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting. Oh, so
Native Oregonians now have, by and large, had to move out. Most all of my family, most all of my friends who've been here for generations, they now have to go south or east to be able to just afford living.
oh, interesting. And
Yeah.
has Oregon typically been a blue state? Forgive me, I'm Canada here. I'm
You
from
know,
Canada, so I don't
yeah,
know.
growing up, I was always, you're a Democrat. We live in, there was no other option. There was like Republicans were just this weird kind of
Yeah.
thing that, and I didn't even, I don't know politics. I don't follow politics. I don't partake in any of that. But yeah, tree loving, literally tree loving,
Yes.
hugging hippies
Yeah.
is how I kind of grew up in Salem in the Valley. Yeah.
Interesting.
And nowadays it that hasn't really changed. Keep Portland weird. It worked. You go to Portland and if you don't get killed, you'll leave it saying, wow, that was a weird experience. I should probably run for governor, but like only 10% of the population is left here and would vote for me. But
So, Travis, I got to tell you, I talking with you, speaking with you, and visually looking at you, and I did public speaking, brand consulting, brand design, marketing consulting, corporate training. You yourself talk about the homelessness kind of idea. You know, sometimes my beer gets too out of whack, get to become too homeless looking. You provide business consulting, inventor, founder of Hydro Flask. You are an active, interesting individual who provides interesting business services, yet don't come across, I'm trying to find the language here, don't come across in a typical, air quote, typical business delivery mechanism. I'm struggling with my words right now, Trav, because
Mhm.
I'm enjoying the chatter because it's just so, uh, you're normal.
Yeah,
You seem like the guy across the table that's, yeah, I need some help in my business. Yeah, I can help you. Do
yeah.
you know what I'm trying to say, Trav?
100%. And you're absolutely right, Keith. I'm not a I'm not an NBA business suit and tie, button up collar type of person in the least bit. And anytime I've had to put on a suit and tie, it doesn't go well and it doesn't
I'm
feel
the same dude. I
authentic.
can relate 1,000% to you exactly what you're saying.
I feel like I have to go to court, and there's a potential prison sentence every time I put on a suit and tie. If I'm not married, getting married, if I'm not at my own funeral or somebody else's wedding or somebody else's funeral, and if I'm not at court, then why in the world would I be wearing a suit and tie? But there again, I'm back to the homesteading. It's very difficult to wear loafers with inch and a half of mud and 4 inches of snow and I mentioned four dogs. So
Yes. Yes. I'm going to speculate that when you meet with customers, potential customers, what they are immediately drawn to with you, Travis, is your authentic human being. Like you, there's no bullshit with you. You're like, I'm
yeah,
Travis. This is what I am. This is how I present myself. You either like me, you don't like me. And if you don't like me, that's fine because some people will like me. And but that to me is what I would gather is who your customer is.
yeah, absolutely. And it's pretty cut and dry. It's really cut and dry. And a lot of my clients, they'll see me on a podcast or see me on stage talking about something. And people just know, they're like, oh, yeah, I can get along with that guy.
Yes.
Or, oh
Yes.
my God, who does he think he is talking
Yes.
about? How is that person allowed to start a business and I can't start a business? So it's almost like I can vet them. They vet themselves out. And so
Yeah.
it's such a great place to be because it's a marketing thing, but it's so authentic that I'm not marketing, I just am. And yet, if you resonate with my style and my marketing, then yeah, we're great. We are good to go. Let's figure this shit out. And if you find me a bit repulsive, good, keep going, because there's a suit and tie guy down the street that would love to take your money. So,
Yes, yes, yes. Well, and I think anybody listening or watching right now would say that, okay, I can see the Keith and Travis bromance going on because they're drinking the same Kool-Aid. I'm the same as you. I do this show every single day. So some
yeah,
people like it, some people don't.
right.
And it's funny because I had a chat with a lady today at noon on the live show, Alana Sparrow, and she was talking about, we were talking about personal branding. So our conversation today is very relevant, Travis. And I think the magic goes on. So I'm 52. What are you in your 40s, 30, 45? Okay. The magic. So I bring it up because the magic goes on sometime in our life where we don't care about what anyone else thinks. So when you're like, yeah, well, this is me, I'm Trav. You don't like me? Great. Somebody else will like you because somebody will take your spot that will like me. That to me is when the magic went on for me that I was okay to be myself. Some will like me, some won't. And those that don't, that's fine. Go talk to somebody else. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's freeing, isn't it, Trav? It's freeing when you can have that, isn't it?
It's liberating. It really is. And I love living in that reality. I
Yes.
love being in positions where I'm Travis. I'm Travis through and through. And I've always said, I'm just doing the Travis thing. And people say, what's that mean? And I say, I'm just doing me. And if we get along, great. And if we don't, fine. But I'm still just doing the Travis thing. And that's what I've always done.
Okay.
That's how I stumble into this or stumble into that, is just by doing the Travis thing. And I don't have a good enough memory to be anybody else. And I don't need a good memory to be anybody else because I'm just Travis.
I'm going to suspect, just met you 19 minutes ago. The Travis thing has a lot to do with you show up every single day, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
100%.
I can tell because the Travis thing is just that you show up, and that I've built a career on just showing up. I'm not the most talented guy or the sharpest tack in the drawer. I'm talented at finding really smart people and then getting behind them and celebrating them and saying, go be smart. And I want to help you be smarter. I'm going to go read and help you be smart. I'm going to empower the hell out of you so we all can succeed. That's what I'm good at. But I am good at showing up. But I can tell that's the Travis thing, isn't it? You show up every single day, like me or not like me, but I'm going to show up here for you tomorrow.
Exactly. I show up, I step up to the plate, and I start fucking swinging.
Yeah.
And I fucking swing, and I'll go down swinging.
Yeah.
But nobody will ever say Travis didn't show up and he didn't swing. I fucking swing.
Yeah.
And I strike out sometimes, but most of the time I'm gonna hit it hard because I
Isn't
fucking
striking out
swing.
awesome though? Because you only strike out by trying.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not afraid to try. I'm not afraid to jump. It's you step up and I go. I get into it. And if I do get up and I hesitate, if there is this, very quickly I ask myself and I do a self-assessment. Okay, what am I feeling here? I don't want to
Mhm.
do this. Fuck it, I'm out. And I
Yeah.
walk away and people go, oh no, Travis, did you hear what he said? You could make hundreds of millions. I'm not interested in hundreds of millions. I gotta go now.
Yeah.
Bye. And
Yeah.
I leave, and people go, that's the stupidest son of a bitch I've ever met. He didn't do that. And it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. I'm doing the Travis thing.
Yeah. If you're authentic, then that's what's going to work for you. And that's some follow, some lead. Clearly, you lead. And something you said, Trav, that strikes me that I've taken from today's show. And it's actually, and I like to give nuggets to the audience. But the fact that you are like, I'm interested in learning that. So I'm going to start with the Dummies series. And then I'm going to, because there's basically a Dummies series for anything on the planet. So I'm going to go learn the Dummies series. I'm going to go take a day out of my life, a few hours out of my life. I'm going to go learn it. And then I'm going to ask myself the question whether I want to proceed. Brilliant. Because a lot of people can't even get started. They think, oh, I want to fucking do this. I want to go become an airline pilot, but I don't know where to start. Oh, I know where you start, audience. You take a page out of Travis, you go buy the Dummies book for $20, you read it, then you ask yourself whether you want to still be an airline pilot.
Exactly. And then once you read it and you do say, okay, I want to be an airline pilot, what happens is
Yeah.
that's when the real magic starts.
Yeah.
It's build it and they will come. Read the idiot's guide, and if you still like it, take one more step, and somebody will show up and say, "Hey, I've got this book. It's about being an airline pilot, and I know you're not a pilot, but I don't know why, but I just have this feeling that I need to give you this book." And you go, "Shit, this is part 2. I just got done with part 1, and
Yeah.
now I jump up that level." And I don't have to look for the book. It just jumps off the shelf. Somebody hands it to me. I'll be driving down the street and I'll look over and it'll say pilot book on sale now. And I'll go, oh, there it is. Okay, boom. And I'll go and I'll get it and it'll move me up another level. I'll walk through a new doorway. I
Yeah.
open up the door. I walk in. I go, hey, Travis is here. And pilot talk, pilot talk, pilot talk. And you go, oh, okay. Yeah, you make the cut. Come on in, friend. I go, yeah, now I'm up a level. It's really not rocket science. It's just doing the Travis thing.
Rocket science is so you take that for granted, like I do, right? And a lot of listeners like, oh yeah, you guys, you fucking show up all the time, take it for granted. No, but it's hard. It's hard to show up every single day. And when you and I take it for granted, it's the the ambition with this show is somebody takes something that you said, something that I said, and is tired of not showing up. Fuck it. I'm going to the gym tomorrow. Or fuck it, I'm going to go and read that dummies book tomorrow because I want to get started because I'm tired of hearing Bilous yanner, yanner, yanner. Now he's got Travis yannering all the time. I'm just fucking doing it now. It's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, it is. It is. And then there's a point at which it switches, and it's not
Yes.
always easy to recognize that it switched. But then there's a point at which, for the gym reference, which I'm not a great one to talk about, but this topic, but there's a point at which it switches. Now, if I don't go and show up, I don't go to the gym, I don't go buy the third book, if I don't go actually fly an airplane, I'm now having a harder time than if I did before. It gets easier and easier at a certain point. But the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule,
Yeah.
says most people do 80% and then they quit, they walk away, and they missed that last 20% that was like, it gets easier.
The most fulfilling part is
Yeah,
the final 20%. Could you?
right.
It's like having sex to 80% and then just stopping before you're done.
Yeah, why
Right?
would you walk away when, oh, that was great. Okay, that was great. Now I've experienced it. Now I'm done. Ugh.
Yeah.
But again, Doki, I'm actually single, so I don't know much about that.
All right. So we're not talking gym. We're not talking sex.
Things that Travis does not partake in actively currently, but that's just right now. That doesn't mean later it won't happen.
Oh, Rosback, you're awesome. I'm starting a morning show here with Nicole Bernard, who is also from Oregon.
Is she
And
single though? That's my real question.
no, she's not. She's married with kids. You can't have Nicole, but we're doing a
Maybe she's
morning
got a
show.
sister or
And
something.
I'm
Yeah,
thinking
okay.
you might have to pop in every now and then to bring some humor, to bring some, just to bring some levity to the conversation because you're a pretty boring fellow.
I hear that a lot.
I suspect
Yeah.
you probably
Appreciate we've made it this long, actually.
So I like to do things differently here, as you probably can tell.
And I appreciate that.
Yes, we like to entertain and inform. We let the other podcasters inform and bore.
Yeah,
We
I've heard that's a thing. Yeah.
we entertain and inform. Yeah, it's funny. I did a podcast. I did an interview with somebody 2 days ago, and I sat down here, Travis, and she interviews me. It was the most bizarre experience of my life because it was very much okay. Here's the question. Yes, you have 60 seconds to answer it, and then
Oh God.
we're gonna create the short from that. I'm like, oh, okay.
Uh,
Not how I do
no,
my show. I just have a conversation and see what happens.
yeah. No pressure,
A
but
little
you've
more
got
entertaining.
60 seconds to nail it, and if you don't, you've ruined it.
I don't know. It's a little, but I feel like this is more entertaining though. Like I like the Rogan, the Stern, the Converse. People want to know who Travis Rossback is. They want to know. I don't know. Like I get the soundbite. I understand, and I get the value of the soundbite. But I'm trying to draw people into the value of the conversation, get to know
Right.
Travis, right, and so forth. So and entertain people along the way. Entertain them along the path to Hydro Flask. Travis Rossback, what the hell is Hydro Flask?
It's a double wall vacuum insulated 18/8 stainless steel water bottle. And so what that means is it'll keep your hots hot and your colds cold. It's a, nowadays we call it an everyday carry. It's a EDC piece that most people keep with them, drink water, stuff like that. But I don't have anything to do with that anymore. But that's just what I hear. Yeah.
Oh, you don't have nothing to do with it anymore.
No, I sold a number of years ago. I exited.
Good for you.
Yeah, no, I got
So
tweets with
I
that. I
knew
don't.
that. I
Yeah.
knew that, but I wanted to get it out of you with some language here. So the audience, and I wanted to see expression on your face because I knew you exited it. So good for you.
Yeah, the season was over. I achieved it was I related a lot to flying airplanes. I
Yeah.
only really wanted to fly for one airline. I wanted to fly seaplanes for St. Croix, St. Thomas, Puerto Rico for Seabourn Airlines. And as soon as I did that, I was like, oh, now I want to go a little faster. So I want to fly jets. Okay, here's the top 10 jets I want to fly. Okay, I flew those jets. Now what? Now just don't fall asleep flying those jets. And in about 30 years, you can pay off your student loans. Holy fuck, seriously? Yeah, yeah. You just sit your ass down, push a button, and you're a glorified taxi driver, is what I found. And it was like, nah, I need a new adventure. Same thing with Hydro Flask. It's okay. Now you got REI and Dick's and Cabela's and Sportsman's, and you've got
Yeah.
Whole Foods, and you've
Yeah.
got all these reps and all these people and all this product and all this and all that. Number one water bottle company in the world. Oh, we are? Oh, okay, bye. I'm
Yeah.
done. I achieved it. Thanks.
Good for you. All right. So I wanted to get here with you in our conversation, and my goal was to get here in less than 30 minutes. We're 29:24 in, and I got here.
Nice.
Perfect.
Nice.
Awesome.
Well done. You nailed it.
My ambition with people in the lab is to get them in, grease them up, get them drunk, get them comfortable, and then just get them to spill all the secrets from their brain.
All within a half hour.
Oh,
Well
exactly, man. It's fucking what's that? I can't remember. Anyway, so you start Flask. So what I like about Hydro Flask, and a lot of people that listen to the show, entrepreneurs, business leaders, they overthink complicated things. I had
yeah.
my show Brian Clayton. He turned $20 into a $200 million a year lawnmower company. It's just, I'm sorry, cutting grass. Right?
Yeah, I've seen that guy.
Took,
Yeah. Isn't that awesome?
took a boring business and made it predictable because everybody's their grass cut. Now, we're not going to spend a lot of time harping on somebody else's business, Mr. Travis Rossback, but we're going to talk about the fact that you took something pretty boring, you took something pretty common, you took something pretty simple in air quotes, and made a gazillion dollars off of it because you did something right. What did you do right for our audience, Travis?
It was a number of things. It was being the original helped a lot. We were the first vacuum insulated water bottle. So before us, it was aluminum
Mhm,
and aluminum dents real easily. It
mhm,
had BPA in that aluminum brand,
mhm,
or it was plastic. Plastic I could not take to the beach, and
mhm.
I'd go out surf, I'd come back, I'd take a drink, and it's too hot to drink. Why did I even bring water with me in the first place if I can't drink it? I'd go hike up a mountain. I get to the top. Now I'm just carrying a rock with me. It's frozen. What's the point of bringing water with me? So we were the first to do the vacuum insulated stainless steel. Thermos had been around for 800 years or whatever they
Mhm.
claim, and they have been, but nobody was drinking out of a foot and a half tall coffee thing except for my great grandpa. And so to turn that into something that I could actually carry with me, the Nalgene bottle, but not
Yes,
plastic.
yes.
And when I first went in and found that this is what I was going to be doing, there were no Nalgene bottles on the shelves because they'd pulled them because of the BPA scare and possibly in the bottles. So then I found a single wall water bottle, and it was overpriced. It was ergonomically incorrect. I'd take a sip and it just spilled down my shirt, looked like an idiot.
Yeah.
And same problem. Can't go to the top of the mountain, can't go out, surf, and come back and drink out of it. So just took off to China and said, hey, who knows what about making a better water bottle? And then spent the next 5 years doing that.
Yeah. Making the next best water bottle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, taking different technology, vacuum insulation technology, instead of glass and metal, instead of 8.5 feet worth of liquid. How much do we really need? Maybe
Yes.
20 ounces to start. Nowadays, I'm up to, I don't know what that is, 46 ounces or whatever, which gets me through the day a little easier. But like, how do we just have? I knew that if I would drink out of it, I could at least find a few other people that would also. And come to find out, yeah, a few other people are drinking out of water bottles these days.
Yeah, I think Stanley had found that out too back in the fourth quarter of 2023 that a few people were buying their flasks, weren't they?
Yeah, get me started on Stanley. There's a fun topic. It's actually really interesting. This is a true story.
You tell.
Well, all my stories are true, or else I wouldn't be able to repeat them because I wouldn't be able to remember them.
Do tell, do tell.
So this was about 3 weeks ago. I was in China. I'm going to a water bottle factory, and the guy I'm with, I've known him for probably 5 years. I'm going to his water bottle factory, and he goes, this is Stanley's new factory. And they got all these new buildings. And I said, wow. They had 5 brand new pearly white shiny buildings, right? Factory. This is in Yunnan, China. In the meantime, I have a client who's sitting in the back. She taps me on the shoulder, gives me her cell phone. Her husband had texted her, Stanley has lead. And I said, oh, huh, you guys have lead in your bottles. They didn't hear me because we were in a car and they're behind the walls. But so I give her the phone back, and I knew exactly why they had lead. I knew exactly what had happened. And I just so happened to be at ground zero in the middle of Stanley buildings. But yeah, Stanley had lead in their tumblers. But at the same time, and to be fair to Stanley, the likelihood of ever coming into contact with that lead is so minuscule, and you'd have to eat it and eat a bunch of it in order to even feel anything. I just have a bit of a thorn in my side from the first time I met the Stanley crew. That anyway, yeah, they did what, $750 million
I
last
did.
year just in the cup.
Yeah, well,
Good for them. That's the same guy who did Crocs, who brought Crocs back from the dead. Crocs was dead and he resurrected it, and then did the same thing with Stanley, where he did collaborations with
mhm,
a
mhm,
couple
mhm.
couple men folks, and
Off you go.
$750 million a year later.
Trav, are you still in the flask business?
I love it. I like it's I hear that Stanley has lead and I go, huh? Yeah, I know exactly why. And Stanley doesn't quite know why they had lead, or if they didn't do anything about it, or they didn't know why they had it. They don't know how you could have got lead in the first place. I invented the whole thing, and so I know it from the ground up. And so it's hard for me to get out of it because I have such a passion for it. I have such a deep knowledge base. I've been doing water bottles since what, 2008, nine. Yeah, hold on, I gotta use my face. 9, 10, 10 to 20 is 10, so that'd be 12, 4, 6. That's 16 years.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to start a water bottle company, Business Athlete Nation, you're listening to the right guy to help you get started.
I know exactly what to do for the very next one also. And I would love to do it, help somebody do another water bottle company. I
So
really would.
why don't you start another water bottle company? Or you can't?
Oh no, I'm not, nope, no non-disclosures or
Why
non-competes.
don't you start another one?
I don't want more staff. I don't want more employees. I don't want more people that I have to talk to,
That's fair.
to tell you the truth.
Yeah, no,
But
absolutely.
if somebody came along and said, "Hey, I want to start a water bottle company and we want to hire you and give you some equity," I'd say, "Here you go. This is how you make $752 million next year."
Is the clearly, if you're talking about it, the opportunity is that significant still in
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. I don't mean to talk bad about Stanley,
no.
although they stole my first product at a trade show, and I had to grab the guy by the shoulder and turn him around and take it back from him, tell him you can't steal from people. That's wrong. Um, but if Stanley can do 750 million, Travis could do 752.
Yeah, that's an interesting point actually, because you're right. Like, with all respect to Stanley, we're giving Stanley lots of airtime right now. But Stanley is not Louis Vuitton. They're not Hermes. They're not a top 5 global. Maybe they are now, but
Yeah.
the branding, like, they're a blue collar brand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
with no knock on that. Stanley, if you're listening, you're invited onto the show. This is
totally.
fascinating to me. Except you can't steal from anybody, Stanley people.
Yeah, you gotta watch him. The guy literally picked up one of my bottles. I was standing there at I think we were at our second or third trade show. And I was talking to a guy, and the hair on my neck went up. Like, I've spent a lot of time in third world countries and in
Yeah.
bars and just hostile situations. And so, hostile situation, hold on one sec. I turn around, this guy swipes the bottle off the table and
Uh,
keeps going. And he was a big guy. I grabbed him, I turned him around, and I took it from him. And CEO Stanley, or president, whatever his title was. And I said, I'm going to see you in the parking lot, dude. I don't care how big you are. You don't fucking steal from me. And I never did see him again. He says, I'm just going to buy it and cut it open and do my own thing. 9 months, 11 months later, sure enough, Stanley came out with a double wall vacuum insulated water bottle, but it was a Stanley version. And so we never heard much more about
interesting.
Stanley up until my next and I have the original patent. I sold it, but I had the original patent for the tumblers. And so what they're doing was my invention also. Um, Yeti's doing the tumblers, Hydro Flask's doing the tumblers, everybody's doing the tumblers. They just happen to do them in pink, and that was all it took.
Have you been surprised, Travis, by what's the word I'm looking for? By the preponderance, by the volume of, like, not only Stanley, everybody's jumping into the tumbler game. Is
Yeah.
it what's happened in the last 10 years where this idea of carrying a water bottle with you and having water with you all the time, who marketed to that to us as humans? Was it Coca-Cola when they bought Dasani, and then it's like, okay, we're just filling the world with plastic, so we should start carrying water bottles around? What's changed in the last 10, 15 years, Travis? Why everybody's carrying around flasks now?
And yes, yeah, the Dasani, and I don't mean just Dasani because everybody's doing it. Kirkland puts out a tremendous amount of plastic every year
Yes.
in single-use bottles. I lived on the North Shore. I had a girlfriend at that time. We lived on the North Shore, and she and I would go out and we'd pick up plastic on the beach every morning because
Yeah.
we were literally on the beach. And at first, it was fun. It was quaint. We're doing
Yeah.
our Good
Yeah.
Samaritan part. We're
Yes.
green, crunchy. I'm from Oregon, picking up
Yeah.
garbage. So we'd take these garbage bags and we'd put them out for the garbage man, and ha, hey, we're recycling. Ha, great, we're cleaning up the beach plastic. And then the next morning, there'd be just as much. And then we get the bill for the garbage company, and we're paying like $10 an extra bag. And so all this plastic that we're trying to recycle is going to the landfill. Plus, we're spending an extra $100 every couple of weeks on garbage, and there's more plastic just waiting for us. And so I thought, but I grew up scuba diving and watching the oceans and watching
Mhm.
how the lionfish came in and they decimated a lot of the Caribbean, and a hurricane would come through, but then the coral would start to bloom and it'd start to come back. And so I grew up in Oregon watching trees grow, and then the loggers would come and take them, and then we'd be mad at those loggers, but then that whole area would start to just grow back even healthier. And so I had all of that going into Hydro Flask also. I wanted to help eliminate some of the single use plastic. And then when what really started to happen was people started to use them with water in them and started to feel better. Their mind would get sharper, less brain fog, they'd start to lose weight. Men would perform better, and boy, did their wives love that.
Yeah.
And it became a water addiction. But with the water bottles, it, it wasn't everybody. There's still people drinking a lot of pop, a lot of soda out of those kind of big gulp
Yep.
cups.
Yes.
And so it those were the standard everyday carry item for. I don't like to generalize, but being in the industry for 16 years, I can say with a lot of knowledge that people in general who sit at desks and work on the keyboard all day and they take a sip without thinking, and they're drinking sugar, tea,
Oh yeah.
pop, whatever it is, and then they get bigger and bigger, right? But this is a habit that they
Yes.
don't think about. So
Yes.
if when the tumbler came out, you now take this 44-ounce big gulp, we used to call them at
Yes.
7-Eleven or the whatever, Quickie Mart. You take that away, you put in this double wall vacuum insulated one that kind of feels similar. There's a straw similar, but you put in fresh water. After a week or so, their minds start to be opening a little bit. Their clothes are getting a little bit baggier. Their skin's clearing up.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, they start to get these physical realities of drinking fresh water, taking out the chemicals, taking out the syrups and sugars and everything else that goes with that other industry. And then it becomes addictive. And so when it goes from pink to purple, and oh, I've got a purple top that kind of matches that, then they have to buy the purple. Oh, there's a green one. I've got a jacket that's colored green, and they buy the green one. And then pretty soon they've got 10 or 15 of them. And then Stanley makes 750 million.
It- as simple as that, isn't it, Travis? Really,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah,
flask, the tumbler, the flask, whatever we want to call the water bottle, whatever we want to call it. What you're telling me is that it's become a fashion accessory.
it is. Yeah, it's not everybody can walk around with a Rolex or a
Mm,
Cartier or a
mm,
Hermes bag, but I can have a 40 to $50 water bottle that matches my handbag or
mm.
my truck or my favorite jacket or whatever it is. I can express myself in this accessory, and for $50, it's expensive, but at the same time, it's no Rolex. So,
There's no, now that we're talking about this, Travis, I was in the Apple store a couple weeks back, and there's no question you can see why the tech companies are dipping their toes into this space as well, right? Because it's fashionable. You can add some Bluetooth heating, Bluetooth cooling. I have an Ember mug that heats up with my for my coffee, but you can see that what a wide open marketplace for the tech industry to stick their fingers in, isn't it?
it is, and there's been a number who've tried and
Right.
been various successful levels of success with adding the tech to the water bottle, everyday water bottle carry market. In fact, one very famous example was a brand that went on to the Shark Tank. And
Mhm.
it was cool because, again, I just so happened to be at the factory that was doing that. And I got the whole story. And then I got to see it go to Shark Tank. And then I got to see what happened after Shark Tank. And then I got to see what happened after Shark Tank. Yeah, if the Sharks had called me first, I would have told you that's what was going to happen. But anyway, yeah, tech is a tough thing because there's also a bit of a invasion of privacy that I think comes in because people who are using water bottles, it's an intimate thing. I put my lips on it. Anytime I put my lips on anything, there's a very strong intimacy with the lips. Not anybody or everything gets to touch these lips. And so when I do trust something to touch these lips, it's something I cherish. It's something I value. It's something I respect. And if I keep it next to my bedside table and I roll over in the middle of the night and I take a sip from it, and it's in my bedroom, it's in my closet with me while I'm getting dressed. It's with me when I'm sick. It's with me when I win the marathon. It's with me when I drive across country. It's with me on the airplane. It's a very intimate thing. So when you start to add tech to it, it starts to add a layer of barrier of, now
Mhm.
hold on, are you listening to me? Can you see me? It
Mhm.
brings in another third party into the relationship. And that psychological barrier of just that extra third party called tech, and it doesn't matter how simple or how high tech it is, it adds just a little grain of question. And
Doubt.
sometimes that little bit of question can turn into doubt. And when you have that little bit of doubt, it's sometimes that's all you need. And so what happens, I found, and I have one shark in my phone, I could ask her, but what I imagine happens at that point is, and I believe that a lot of the tech water bottle companies are finding is that sure, I'll buy it once, but as soon as I realize that I've got this contraption with me it's almost like not a real robot, but it's like AI. Like, oh, AI, it's great. No, it's terrible. It's going to kill us all. It's awesome. I'm going to make $1 billion. When you add that to a water bottle, you might buy one because it's intriguing and it's interesting, but you probably aren't going to buy a second one. So
Mhm.
a lot of that I find to be a flash in the pan. Oh, look, they made $800 million this quarter. Huh? Yeah, but let's see what happens next quarter. They're down.
And you know what happens too, Travis? I have found myself the novelty wears off quickly too. Okay, so I can heat my coffee mug up. Okay, great. Okay, it's at 75 degrees hot. Okay, so now what? Okay, that's what it does. Great, done. Boom. So it's exciting for the first week. It's how the lights on the old app
Yeah.
and on my mug and my coffee was hot.
Mhm.
But into that second week, I just want to drink my
Yep.
coffee out of the mug. Like the novelty was done. I suspect same thing with a water bottle. I got to admit, I never, not never, I took for granted the comments you made around the intimacy of a water bottle. You're so correct. I can see the value you bring as a marketer to somebody who is considering launching a product like that, because I'm going to speculate again that many people don't think about the intimacy like you do of a water bottle, and that it's
Yeah.
touching my lips, and not many things get to touch my lips.
Yeah. And then what happens when you do touch my lips? Is it a good experience or a bad
Yes.
experience? And there's two different ways to make the lip of a water bottle. There's this way, and then there's that way. And before I came onto the scene, there was only one way to do a water bottle. The very first round of the Hydro Flasks was the old way. The only way we could do it was very thin, very sharp. You put it on, and
Yeah.
you
Not
realize
like
that
Did not like drinking out of them because
uh,
it's not a
it's not a razor blade, but by golly, it's a sharp metal.
yes.
And go thicker and make it softer, just more ergonomically correct on the lip. You would be surprised at how many water bottle companies have never thought of that. They've never asked the manufacturer. They've never asked their customers. And then I wonder, are the owners even using it? Who are the designers that are designing these things? Do they not use their own product? Yeah.
It's interesting because again, the lady I met with this afternoon on my show, we talked personal branding and we talked details. The details are what set greatness from great out, right? Like those two extra S's at the end. And you think about the water bottle, most people are thinking about what's in the water bottle and what's going into the person's mouth. So I'm not surprised when you say that the executives designing the water bottle, all they're thinking about what goes in, what comes out, but they're not thinking about the touch point to somebody's mouth. That is the details that sets apart the winner from the loser, isn't it, Travis?
It is. And oftentimes, what happens, especially with the companies that said, oh, look at Hydro Flask, they're making gazillions of dollars every day. I could do that also. All I have to do is get on some Chinese website, find a
Mhm.
factory. Next thing you know, I've got a water bottle too. Lots of people did it. Quite a few people made a lot of money doing that. But the when you go for profit only and you're
Mhm.
only thinking about your profit, it's
Mhm.
cheaper to do the sharp mouth. It's way cheaper.
Sure, it is. Yeah.
It's cheaper to have it zero point 0.03 on the inner wall and 0.04 on the outer wall, which nobody will notice. It's only a couple hours different, hot or cold. But when you can, the difference between being able to squeeze a bottle and feel that you can manipulate it with your hands and not, and the difference in the few extra ounces that it weighs heavier because of the thicker wall and the thicker wall, there's a very real intrinsic value that a lot of people don't think about when they're just thinking about profits and losses and those charts that they have to show the shareholders and the board members at the end of the quarter. And back to the blue collar thing, my collar's literally blue. And but I can think about that sort of thing, but then I also understand how P&Ls and boards work. And
Yes.
so I am a bridge between the two where I'm not going to play dress up, but I don't mind going and doing the dog and pony show as well.
Yeah. I admire that about you, Travis. I very much can relate to that.
I knew that as I've been listening to a lot of your episodes, and I appreciate that you are out there similarly like that. Yeah.
Like I'll go walk into a boardroom if I have to, put the suit on and do the dog and pony show. But I really want to go fucking go have a hike or go fishing with you and solve problems.
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
instead of
Right.
going to the boardroom and talking about the flask, let's go climb a mountain, solve some problems on the mountain,
Yeah.
and put some fucking old jeans on and go talk about
Yeah.
them. We'll solve it. As we're talking, a water bottle companies, and I'm going to really minimize this, it's really the ultimate marketing company because you're selling something to hold a liquid. That's it. Like there's nothing complex. There's complexity. I don't want to dismiss your patents and everything, but we're not talking rocket science like a fucking remote or like an Apple iPhone. We're talking something to deliver liquid to your body.
Exactly.
The marketing budget for a company like that, I bet you, again, just going to speculate out loud, you're spending 3/4 of your dollar to market it. Again, just thinking out loud here because it's you're taking something simple, wrapping it up, making people feel really good about it, and then repeat.
Yeah.
Wrong? Wrong?
It's interesting because I was always drawn, and I don't know if this is a true story. I need to learn the guy's name, let alone I
Yeah.
need to call him and hang out with him. I'm sure he's cool. The guy who invented Oakley sunglasses, right? He had motorcycle grips, and then he
Oh
was
yeah.
watching, I think it was NASCAR or
Yes.
some sort of drive
Yeah. Yeah.
cars around or motorcycles.
Yeah.
And what happened was he was watching a television, and the guy who won is on his TV. So what do you see on the TV? You see this much of the guy's face.
Yes.
And his body is covered, his jumpsuit, his car covered with logos.
Yes.
Covered. So
Yes.
Home Depot got the hood. But
Yes.
all right, you don't see Home Depot. You don't see that. All is the guy's face. So I don't know if it's an urban legend or not, but the story that I've always been drawn to is how do I get my logo on this TV? And he says, I could put my logo right here on. And how do I do that? Sunglasses. Oh, wonderful. So he created sunglasses to get his logo on the TV. And so I thought, okay, I don't want to do sunglasses because Maui Jim is my brand
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Oakley's got the market, and I'm not
Yes.
doing that. But then when the water bottle came around, I was like, shit, this is a double positive because
Yes.
now I'm going to put the logo so that when you're drinking out of it, everybody else is seeing the logo.
Yes.
And then with the different lids, and this is again, I should be doing consulting with Hydro Flask because they've missed this. Again, back to the intimacy, right? So when children breastfeed, they look at their mother, not their parents, their mother, because only women can breastfeed, right? Let's not go down that topic. Piss off some of the, but anyway, there's eye contact. So there's again back to the intimacy. So while I'm
Yes.
drinking out of a bottle, whatever I see, I'm going to be there's going to be that psychological subconscious connection to it. And so if I can see Travis's logo, then I'm going to give Travis more money. I'm because I trust Travis. Travis is giving me nutrients. He's giving me water, and you don't get that really except for the first 2 years of your life if you're lucky, and a lot of children unfortunately don't. But whole other topics. So the marketing was how do I get my logo
Yeah.
on everybody walking down the street? Give them something to carry. Wallet? Nah, goes in a pocket. Keys? Nah, goes in a pocket. Sunglasses, that's an everyday carry. No, again, I'm not doing sunglasses. Oh, if they have a water bottle, then they're carrying my logo with them everywhere. They put the logo on the desk and everybody goes, what's that? And they tell you the brand, they tell you what it is, and people want to touch it and see it. They've never seen such a thing before. And now, of course, it's ubiquitous with daily life. I don't know if that's the right word. I just threw it out there. I wanted to say part and parcel for everyday life. I think it's ubiquitous.
It is ubiquitous. Listen, the
Ubiquitous.
daily carry is a ubiquitous item for everybody these days. My
Hmm.
daughter, everybody I know carries one. I drink the reusables around the house here, but I carry my Nalgene's. I carry two up Kilimanjaro, one that I drank out of and one that I pissed in. And no,
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't drink in the pissing one. I had two different colors.
Right. Yeah. When I was a pilot, same thing. It's like Snapple bottles were always good because the hole was a little bit bigger, so it's easier target.
Yes.
Nalgene's are great because they have
Yes.
plenty of space for that.
That's it.
And again, like honestly, that piss bottle, drink bottle
Yeah.
was something that I honestly did take into great consideration. I started getting the bigger mouth and the bigger sizes, and it's okay. I'm going on a road trip. I'm flying an airplane, and I can't. There's no facility, So I've got two bottles, one to drink, one to piss in, and seal it tight. It's not going to spill all over the
Yeah.
cockpit.
Yeah. Travis Rossback, we've been here for an hour. I can't believe it's been already an hour. To anybody listening right now, Business Athlete Nation, Bapl Nation, if you're wondering what to do and you're just sitting around stuck, just fucking look around you, man. And just think of some of the things that Travis said. It's not complicated. When I'm listening to the things you're talking about, Travis, what you are is you're an exceptional marketer. You listen, you pay attention, details important to you. You may or may not notice some of the same things happening inside of the lab right now. Like I'm not doing anything different. I'm selling and then talking about evergreen stuff. No different than Nike. Nike just sells running shoes, but they do a wonderful job connecting emotion and feeling to people buying those running shoes. So I'm trying to create some of those same experiences with our content and the solutions we're going to be offering here in the future around feeling and emotion. And it's all those things you're talking about with the flask. That's it, right? It's getting people to feel your product, feel your solution, and have a connection with it. It's not rocket science, is it, Travis?
It really isn't. The basics are not.
Yeah.
And the idiot's guide is not. You start moving up the ladder and there's more complex
Yeah.
philosophy later on, but if you don't start climbing the ladder, you'll never get that far. So you don't have to worry about later until later. And
Yeah.
you just have to start.
And the best place to start, Nation, you heard it from Trav. Go buy the Dummies book. Like, honest to God, like it's what I've taken from our call today. You've really given everybody no excuse to do something. Really.
I hope so. Yeah.
You go to the dummy store, go buy a dummy book, read it, and act like you're an expert and take the next step. It's actually as simple as that. Travis Ross.
Honestly.
Yeah. Trav, you've been fantastic guest. I've thoroughly enjoyed our chat. I didn't know where it was going to go. I got to be honest. I was spending some time on your profile. I don't spend a lot of time preparing for my meetings with my guests. I find that when I do that in my early days, I put me too much into a box and it became too structured and uninteresting. I really like to have organic, if you've heard some of the shows, organic dialogue, get to know the person, the human being, and then just see where it goes. And I'm glad we did today because it was a good chat, man.
Keith, I feel the same. And thank you so much for having me. I've got to talk about things that I don't typically get to talk about with most people who have the boring shows.
Then you'll come back and you got to come on the morning show, man. Pop in. So here's our plan, right? I'll tell you what my plan is. My plan is to rip a page out of old school media and create content around predictability. People are on LinkedIn and YouTube in the morning. So we're going to put content there for people. And the reason I go live at a certain time, Travis, it's the same reason Letterman went live at 11:30 every single night. You got used to a comfort, right? So I'm trying to do some of those same things, branding and marketing, not rocket science, just showing up and doing things consistently, which I think you can see. So you are welcome here, my brother, anytime, man. Anytime you're like, hey, I want to go hang out in the lab. I want to go host. I want to go shoot the shit. I want to go tell stories. Actually, I got a question for you. Nation, we're going to go to overtime with this one. So you sold the company. You got a big check. Got a big check. What's the first thing you bought?
I called B&H Camera in New York.
Yeah. What did you buy? I've been there too. I've got a lot of fucking gear from that store. What did you buy?
It's actually funny because it was about 1:30 in the afternoon that the check hit the bank.
Yeah.
And I was, back in the old days, we held phones like this.
Yes.
I'm on the phone. I'm like, okay, it hit. Yep. The check cleared. Yes. Okay. So it's in the account. Yes. So I can spend it. Yes. You're sure? Yes. Okay. Bye. Click, click. Hey, B&H. And but at the time, I was married. This is probably why it's one of the reasons why it's my ex. She's like, Travis, you are not a professional photographer. Do not go nuts. I was like, okay, cool. So I had to put back one of the flashes, but I bought a flash and I bought the camera and I got the bag. I got the tripod.
Yeah.
I got the filters. I got 3 or 4 lenses. And it was 5 o'clock. It was 5 o'clock on the East Coast, and the guy stayed late just to take my order.
Nice.
So that was the very first day. The second day, I went to REI, and which is an outdoor sporting goods store.
Absolutely.
And 2 kayaks, 2 mountain bikes, 2 helmets, 2 pairs of shoes, 2 pairs of gloves, 2 pairs of shorts. My
Awesome.
wife and I had everything. We got so much from REI that the head CFO called and
Yeah.
she says, "Hey, Trav, I just wanted to see what's going on because I'm looking at how much you've spent. I just want to make sure that who are you?" I said, I'm just a customer. She's like, "You don't appear to be. Are you reselling this?" I was like, "No, I swear I'm not. No, I'm using it." And so we went round and round. She's trying to figure out who's the scam artist. Who's what are you doing with this shit, Travis? And finally she goes, "Where do you live?" I said, "Bend." And she goes, "Oh, Hydro Flask is out in Bend." I said, "Well, bingo, there you go. I just sold Hydro Flask." She goes, "Oh, no shit. Oh, okay, yeah. Love the product. Of course you're buying all this money worth of stuff." But I'm so glad I did because I could have bought a Rolex. I could have bought a Porsche. I could have bought a mansion. And I but I have kayaks. I have cross country skis.
Good
I
for you,
could
man.
go do that cool shit. I actually, back to the beard, I went in to go buy a Porsche and nobody would help me. I think Janis Joplin did the same thing. I had that exact
Yes.
moment. One of the macaws came out. I think it was a macaw. And I
Yeah.
went in and I stood there and
Yeah. Yes.
nobody came
Yeah.
up to help me. Finally, a guy, a mechanic, another blue collar guy, he comes up. He's like, "What are you doing here? Like, you need to use the bathroom or the water? What are you doing?" I said, "No, I'm interested in buying this new car." And he goes, "For what?" I said, "I want to put big tires on it. I want to jack it up. I want to level it. I want to put a rack on it. I want to take the wheel wells off and extend them out. I want to powder coat it, not powder coat, bed liner it." And he looks at me and goes, "Yeah, it's like $5,000 to change the oil. I don't think you want this one." I was like, "Yeah, that's a lot of money." I can't remember exact number, but he
Yeah.
tells me how much it is to change the oil. I was like, "Yeah, actually, you're exactly right. I'm just going to go get another Tacoma. Thanks anyway." So
Yeah.
I went and got a Tacoma instead. But I wanted to buy it and just bash it with the baseball bat and leave it like Janis Joplin did, but I didn't have that kind of money. So
Just standing there with your wallet open. I'm looking to spend my money. Somebody put their hand in my wallet and take money out of it.
yeah, please sell me this. Now you don't look like you fit the protocol for us to even ask for your credit card.
Oh man.
Which I'm glad I didn't, because what the fuck am I gonna do with a Porsche? Except for jack it up, put big tires on it, extend the wheel wells, and put a rack on the top and bed liner all over it.
Travis Rossback, you come back to the lab with your Porsche sometime. You
I
come back with
will.
some more stories, and you can't if you okay, straight up, dude. If you shave, you can't come back.
I 100%. That's a good reason not to. I won't. I
Good,
promise you, I
good,
will
good,
not.
good. So if you look at mine, I was doing some shit. So it looks like it's silver here, but I was doing some shaving yesterday and got God, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah,
I'm glad
yeah,
I'm glad that I'm behind the mic because you can't see the bald spots on my beard here. So,
yeah.
what I'm
The struggle's real. It's tough to shave because I do the same thing. I'll go along and I'm doing Joe. Fuck. There's a big gash on my face, like I got hit with a sword or something.
Rossback, how can Nation find you? How can Business Athlete Nation find you? I've given you no time to prop up your business, prop yourself. How can people find you to do business with Travis or hang out with Travis or go and maybe somebody wants to start a water bottle company with Travis? How can somebody find Travis Rossback?
It is travisrossback.com, ROSBACH.com, Travis Rossback. And I'm also on LinkedIn. So Travis Rossback on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Trav, I know we're recording, but I always like to throw the guests back into the green room while I say goodbye to the audience, and then I'm going to come walk you back out. So hang tight, okay?
Cheers.
That was fun. That was fun. So if you're listening, I hope you enjoyed listening as much as I enjoyed speaking with Travis. And if you're watching, I hope you enjoyed watching that conversation with Travis and I as much as we enjoyed having it. That's what we do here in the lab. We find interesting people, and even if they're not interesting, we try to make them interesting. Travis was interesting. You heard his story. The guy's captained things. He's built water bottle companies. He's climbed mountains. He's made a few bucks in his lifetime. That's the kind of people we want to have here in the lab to inspire you, to help you guys move forward. So listen, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go to walk Travis out the door here. We're going to go compare beards, and I'll be back tomorrow because we are Monday to Monday live in the lab. I'm Keith Bilous. We'll see you later.